Chale. Should not say that. Or no, whatever. Normally, it's the other way around where I'm using this as a means to not work on my project like 100% of the time. Hold on. I need to mute this so I can move my microphone. When you have a fucking Frank Ocean song stuck in your head, see both sides like Chanel. See both sides like Chanel. I see. Something like that. I don't even know. So yeah, I feel like now I'm avoiding making a video, all because somebody from the old server hit me up. You know, complications just kind of like arise in the head. Only because, you know what I mean? I feel like I need a PR sponsor. I'm like, hey, let me run some ideas through you real quick, just because I don't know what to say to anybody else because XYZ. I don't know. Because I you know what I mean? Like, move in silence. I never gave anybody a hint just because it was like, is it my place? Is it not my place to say anything? Kind of when I also came to this conclusion, so look, stat. Look at me, stat. Stat's the homie. I said I wasn't going to watch any more tarot videos, but I ended up watching some tarot videos. But then I took a break from that, and then I recently watched some recently, and then I was like, I might have done something very bad, indirectly and unknowingly. You know, I say that I haven't watched any, but there's like, yeah, I was watching one person secretly. Either way. And on no shenanigans. Not shenanigans for sure. Where was I going with this? Right, Aaron. Hey, Aaron. Hey, Aaron. So, yeah, somebody hit me up from the old server and they were like, yo, like, what's up? Like, where have you been? And, not surprising that he was the first guy to hit me up. He's, like, really nice. But, now I'm stuck in this situation where I'm like, what do I say? I didn't think this all through. I was just gonna be like, you know what? I'm gonna take a break. I wasn't expecting to get this far in and then be reminded that, like, oh yeah, there was all that had to do. Yeah, now I'm stuck in a really weird situation. Yeah, so this video, keep in mind, is primarily something akin to like Dear Diary today. Yeah, because now I feel like to some degree I want to force myself in a chair and like talk this out because it's all about like a meditation state, a flow state where you kind of succumb to whatever state of movement or flow that you could use in order to get yourself into that trance-like state. So, for example, this morning I was using drawing as that. I decided to keep working on Vimy and try to finish that project. And oh yeah, that's why the background changed. This is glitch art. This is glitch art from the bigger piece of Vimy on the pyramid. Well, on the pyramid, I'm like drawing stuff on the pyramid to symbolize various control mechanisms of whatever. I don't even know if I've ever showed it on stream. But yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I need to hire a PR person be like, look, this is what happened, this is what occurred. Fuck do I say? Like, I want to be very professional about this shit. Only because I don't know. When you start entering this realm of like showing your face and getting to the nitty gritty of trying to speak on these bigger ideas, you run into the problem of like deviancies. I'm not saying like I'm not saying anybody's pure in the world. I'm not saying everybody has like a peachy clean innocent record, but to some degree, like you have to understand that if you expose yourself to certain deviancies, you become susceptible to blackmail. You become susceptible to kind of attacks. Like a recent episode that I watched was it was about gambling and how, what do you call them, like the bookies. Basically, there are various factions that will develop around various sports where some of these interest groups will be like, hey, we want to win the game because this game, this and this is happening, and da 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 da. Like, we need to make sure the game leans this way so we can win a bunch of money. And one of the things that they'll do is they'll look at the players from the team and they'll try to see if there's any vices that they have. They'll try to see in what ways they can influence this individual in order to, right? And the guy who was conducting this interview, he wrote his book on cases that the FBI had, but the FBI never filed any of these cases, right? There's a bunch of information on it, but none of this ever went to like court. So a lot of people assume that there's no sports rigging in sports, but whatever, conflated issue. Um, so when you get into this realm of deviancies, like, you know what I mean? Like, you got to be very careful with like what you do, who you associate yourself with, da 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 da, in what ways you can be controlled. How was I talking about deviancies? I don't even remember. Oh yeah, showing your face on public, kind of trying to expose all this like hidden woo-woo occult shit, and it's like sometimes my curiosity gets ahead of me, and I ask really stupid questions only because is there any right? My concern is there any truth in this shit? Hmm. Where's it gonna go with? Right, I got into that flow state with that idea, but then I lost the idea because I was like, wait, how did I get here to there? Um, right, using the flow state. Once you kind of get into that rhythm of things, it's like, oh, you know what I mean? You get to the law of rhythm and the hermetic principles, and it just tends to flow one way. Um, yeah, talking more about it, like, it's just, you know what I mean? Like, I'm saying all these vague things. I don't know why. Trying to grasp for words, trying to grasp for these ideas, these tangible emotions. Um, all I can think of is this. All right, I admitted to like yeah, watching. Well, it's only one person, and I mean like I don't feel like so. Kind of when I went on hiatus, there was this really interesting mantra that I found where you basically, to some degree, tell yourself that you are going to cut ties or you cut your whatever, like you're right, if you're a source of energy and you can tap in with other people and like you know what I mean, like exchanging of energies, that sort of thing. And I was just like, all right, let's cut it all off. Let's see if, I don't know, practicing that state of mind where you only think and only put your attention towards the things that you want is what I took away from the video. But if you were to listen to the video, that's not the idea you would get. The idea, or at least what the video says, is, you know, renounce all your contracts, renounce all these other aspects that you're giving yourself to, and just renounce them all. So when I first decided to go on hiatus, I decided to do just that. Um, so in my head, to some degree, it has to be like choice. So in ways that I did that was I stopped watching certain content, tarot videos, for example. I stopped I stopped hanging out with various other groups. I stopped giving my time to Discord. I stopped giving my time to social media. I stopped. What did I do? started writing more. Basically, right, you take away your energy or your attention span towards all these other things, and you put them towards what you want to put them towards. And the way that rolled out in my head was there was a goal that I was trying to attain, right? Like something that I had started previous was learning how to draw. And to some degree, I applied myself really well at doing that. And I stopped. And then I started focusing on other things, learning how to video edit, all that other shit. You know what I mean? Juggling life, da da da. I ended up in a position where I was like, I have to really think about what I'm going to do seriously for a while. And that mantra or that video came at a very interesting time. Right? I'm thinking about it now and I feel like I should be doing more work instead of doing this video. But does it go back to me trying to escape this? Or me trying to, I don't know, find myself being pulled in many very directions. And the way I see it, it's kind of like whatever, like, oof. I'd rather not deal with any of this. I'd rather just go back to the hermit mode, continue my work, not give a fuck. By the way, like the thing that I'm putting all of my focus into is an NFT project. The anime one that I always had in mind. Because there's that Picrew. It's a Japanese website, Picrew. They have a very interesting website where anybody as an artist could go on there, make a template, and just keep adding iterations to that style of whatever they decided to draw. And so when I saw NFTs took off, I was like, there's like a clear overlap here, but nobody's looking at it. So learning how to draw in that style is just so peculiar. Like drawing in manga style is not like drawing in anime. Because when you're drawing in manga style, it's not that you're learning any one particular construction style, but you're learning, I don't know how to say this. There's like 3 processes to a drawing, or at least the way I see it, right? There's the sketch, there's the construction of it, and then there's 4, I guess. There's like some form of final line work, and then there's actual final line work. And the reason why there's always a final line work is because when you're using a G pen, when you're using those nibs for inking, you have to apply very specific pressure at all times. And if you're not really good with like applying pressure, kind of controlling your strength, controlling the arc, da 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 da, blah blah blah, the lines don't come out the same. So there's a lot of practice that comes into doing that movement, understanding the pressure. I have a bunch of G-nibs, but I don't even know why I'm talking about this. Oh yeah, NFT projects, what I'm focusing my time on. But I'm doing this all digitally, so none of that really applies to me, I guess. Pull your energy back. Just calm down. You know what I mean? In doing so, it was refreshing to see where my attention was going to. And one thing I realized for sure, like within the first few days, was I cannot stop looking at the news. And this isn't from a perspective of like, I'm obsessed, I need to know every little detail. Like, nah, I just like being aware. Like, I just like looking into the abyss. I kind of feel like, who's Doctor Who's nemesis? The Master? Like, it's the storyline where he's a little kid and he's staring into the abyss. Then he starts hearing like this drum, and then he just continuously hears that drum for the rest of his life. Not like that, but in the sense of, I don't know, I've lived my life and I've always been aware of things. So I've just learned to apply it differently. I guess some people would see that not be very healthy in in terms of like, oh, I have to know what's going on globally. And it's just like, I think we got into a lot more problems because we never paid attention to the global thing. It reminds me of Abba saying that, like, oh, you just want to pay attention to the whole canvas. Meanwhile, you're forgetting that you got a whole picture right in front of you. And it's like, there's, no, that, as somebody who's been learning to draw, that analogy doesn't work because when you're looking at the entire canvas, like, there's only some things that I've learned that you can only see with line work if you take a step back. Like, if you don't take a step back and view the whole thing, it doesn't necessarily match up. And then final line work and the way you contort some lines just sells different effects. And the only time you could really, I don't know, you got to take a step back. Like, you really got to sometimes, when you're looking at the canvas, you really got to even take a step back because sometimes you might be concerned with the whole but not looking at the entirety. If that makes sense. Am I making sense? Yeah, that's where my head's been. Just art and just various things that I can listen to. Hence why there's one thing I was listening to, and it's just because, like, you know, storylines. As somebody who's also consistently writing on the side a little, it could be written as a light novel, but I'm writing it as a visual novel. But it's kind of written like a light novel. I don't know. But storylines are very interesting for me because manga doesn't update enough, right? I need other forms of understanding storylines with people. It's kind of why I find some of that tarot community very fascinating because some people understand what they're discussing, the storylines aspect of it. Others don't. I think context is very important when you get into those tools because, I don't know, it depends on what you know about Project Looking Glass and that one guy who was the disclosure guy, but they like to discredit him for whatever reason. So much to consider, so very little time. I don't know. I feel like my heart's calmed down now. I just need to figure out what to say. Just because I really don't know what to say. I have no animosity towards anybody. Like, that's never me. That's never a way to live life. That's like some, right, this is where it's like, that's some like reptilian DNA type shit. And it's like, I don't know what people believe about that, but it's like, I don't know. Some people say it's percentages in the DNA. Other people say that it's full-on incarnations. But all depends on what you know, realistically. But if you have shapeshifter behavior, that's not normal. Like, what the fuck? I don't know. Shapeshifting behavior versus transforming metamorphosically. What's the difference here? I guess the shapeshifter's far more quick. Far less long-term planning. Why am I thinking about this idea live on air? I don't even know. Why am I here? Where's that meme? The one with the stuffed cat and it's like this. I need to call a PR manager. Be like, hey, yo, dog. So this one fool disrespected me, dog. What do I do? How do I go about this in the public image? That's some Machiavellian type shit, right? That's why I always bring up that book, because it's like, I've seen so many rappers use the word Machiavelli. And when and then I'm assuming it's like either their manager or somebody in the industry gives them the book and it's like, hey, read this. Hoping that these people understand what is written in the book, and they probably don't. And then they're just like, they just use the name instead of trying to, I mean, who knows? There are a lot of rappers nowadays that kind of do enough image control that they can give themselves the perception of, you know, that's all celebritydom is you basically put yourself in a dome and you basically control the perception that you're viewed in, because I don't know, it gets into that whole thing of like hyper realism, and that like your life's a movie. You gotta live life like a superstar. I don't know why I said that way. It all depends on the way you see things. Depends on, I don't know. Very interesting ideas that are coming to me right now. All because I want to be very avoidant in understanding my issue, which is not even an issue at all. It's just like very terrible at communicating. Very terrible at communicating. It's like, hey, I'm just gonna drop off the face of the earth for a couple weeks. Yeah, not a great idea in retrospect, but at the same time, it's like I don't know what to say. Like, I'm gonna go to hermit mode, work, and hopefully along that process, the answer comes to me. Then again, it's what meditation's for. The flow state. I always remember that episode of Avatar where Aang is trying to learn how to connect all of his diatoms, and the way it's explained to him is the master walks over to a pond and shows that there's blockages within one pond going down, another pond going down, another pond. But talks about how, yes, you could see that water still flows, but when you work out the impurities from each of these energy sectors, state of movement can flow. Interesting. I don't know why that came to me. Why did I use that example? And to some degree, I always feel like aspects of me making these videos is something that I could do for that. Only because, I don't know, I feel like I've spent a lot of time never talking or addressing issues. Like, I can remember my most recent altercation with the opposite gender, where it was just like, I was so avoidant in every single aspect of like how I interacted with them, how I spoke to them, all this shit. And only to figure out that like that was just a lesson where it was just like I needed to pay attention to other people's behavior patterns. But at the same time, it was also a lesson in like, let's condense some lessons for you real quick, right? And I had to swallow that pill very interestingly. You know what I mean? Like, when you're led somewhere, what you think it is isn't necessarily what it is. Like, listen, pay attention. Like, that's what I really got from it. Was, no. At that point, okay, if I explain this idea, I begin to feel like that imposter syndrome shit. Just because, what was I meant to do here? What, like, this is a very, it's not abstract. I want to think of it as an abstract idea, but it's like, there was a very important lesson that I should pay attention to. And it relates to stomach issues. I have a cousin, right? Like, the synchronicities in my life just do not end. Like, I really wish that they just stop. But my cousin, who I think is from Wisconsin, she lives in Wisconsin. She's not from Wisconsin. She lives in Wisconsin, but she's from, I think this cousin moved from Mexico. No, she grew up in Mexico. She was born here, but grew up over there, went to school over there, all the way to university, then came over here. Either way, she's married now. This was like years ago. From Wisconsin, but she was telling me that everyone in my family right now on that side is experiencing stomach problems. Like, you know, I don't know what people know about the gut biome and shit like that, but I should really explain this very loosely. The gut biome is essentially the description of that your stomach acid is not just stomach acid. There are things that live in it. There are enzymes. There are various aspects of proteins. I don't want to say that word because I actually don't. Either way, A lot of living organisms exist in the human stomach. We call that the gut biome. Well, more recently than ever, a lot of people experience gut issues primarily because all of the foods that we eat are very acidic. All of the oil that's in most of our food is very acidic. So, what tends to happen when you add acid to acid, it just becomes more acidic, it becomes more corrosive. Then you get into issues of when the stomach acid is too acidic, there are other enzymes that can't live in that kind of environment, thus deteriorating them. And then you get into the whole aspect of like mothers not breastfeeding. Then you get into people not drinking like cow milk, right? Like unpasteurized cow milk. Like understanding the importance of drinking all of those living organisms that come from natural milk, et cetera, natural butter. Essentially, most of the processed goods that we get in like supermarkets and stuff like that is so processed, is so heavily induced with heavy synthetic preservatives that by the time we ingest them, like the more processed the food is, the more bad the oil is, like canola oil. Essentially, destroys your stomach acid. The body fat that then accumulates and creates itself is there are slides where you could look at body fat. There's two kinds. One of them is black and one of them is white. The black one tends to burn. It's very difficult to get rid of when you start losing weight. It's not as efficient as like the natural like white, right? Essentially, all of our food and all of the things that we do in our life naturally as it is, um, really fuck up the stomach. Um, but the factor here with my mom's side of the family is that they all took the experiment, and this is why I find it very difficult to talk about sometimes. Because I wish to do something, but I can't. Run into this whole issue where like want to do something but you can't. Because you know what I mean. There's this blind faith that you have to give doctors, and once the doctor already says, "Well, I don't think you need to worry about this because we know what we're doing," people kind of tend to give their 100% faith in those situations. Da 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 da. I could talk about this forever, but whatever. Um, it's kind of why I do the snake diet. It's kind of why I only cook in coconut oil. It's why, you know what I mean, you got to use good butter. And then finding good butter is very difficult because people think, oh, but butter's bad for you because it's a. Not all fats are equal. Not all fats are equal. And the studies that were approved, like, this is why, like, Europe and the UK have better food standards than America. America's the Wild West. They don't give a fuck about people here. Again, because essentially, if you want to look at this, like, was it Brave New World? Yeah, it's Brave New World, where they have classes, right? One of them are the worker class. I think that's the Gamma to Delta. Essentially, you're not given the same food stock. It's kind of why they're trying to force everybody to eat like bugs and crickets and all this other bullshit. But yeah, there's a lot of problems with the gut biome, and people not understanding the human body as an organism, and how it has its own internal systems and how you can use them. It's why I love fasting. Fasting is like amazing, especially if you understand how organs work, right? If you understand how the skin works, you can understand how why jojoba oil is really healthy for it, and da 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 da. Usually, there's a lot of holistic remedies that are very useful, but people just don't know. Um, Again, I'm trying to run in, run in, run in. I'm like, I don't want to talk about my problems. I got 30 minutes. I got 30 minutes on the clock. You know, that's what it is. See both sides like now. Yeah, I don't know what to do. Like all I got is songs running through my head. Don't know what else to talk about. Essentially, I need to figure out what to say to the homies because I still consider them friends. Like, it's not that I had any one problem with anybody. It's just that I had to come to understand that whatever work I was going to do for that group was not going to be useful to the group. As in, right? If there is an owner, and if that person has a vision or a goal of a direction, um, I did not feel conductive to that generation of creativity. I don't know. The input seemed unnecessary. You know what I mean? The electricity shocks seemed not to work. And you know, like I gotta juggle my own fucking life. So it's like, this is great and all, but I'm gonna go back to sleeping at 7:30 to wake up at 4 to just do work. That's the way I wanted to do things from the beginning. Yeah, I don't know. I just want to hide. Find a rabbit hole. Find a rabbit hole and just go down it, boy. Just never see the light of day. Like but we've been I met you like a week ago. Like I've been down here for months. He's like, "Oh, I've been down here for years." Oh god. Yeah, I should definitely not film my very silly side of things. Um try to I need to maintain this mystique, you see. It's like Doctor Strange.